The first thing I learned about the Trell Dominion was that they treated their armor like we treat our hearts, sacred, untouchable, and never meant to be handled by outsiders. The second thing I learned was that I'd just broken that rule. It happened 3 days after my squad's dropship crashed on their border moon, Saren 4. The battle had been brutal, a misunderstanding that spiraled into a skirmish between my unit and the Trell Royal Guards. Most of us didn't make it. I was one of the unlucky survivors, bleeding, starving, and hiding in the ruins of an alien temple that glowed faintly under the blue light of twin suns. That's when I found her. At first, I thought she was dead, sprawled out beside a shattered pillar, her violet armor cracked and sizzling with residual plasma burns. Her face was hidden beneath a silver mask marked with intricate runes. Only when I heard the faintest groan did I realize she was still alive. "Hey," I muttered, dragging myself closer despite the pain. "Don't move. You're hurt." Her eyes flickered open, golden, sharp, and full of the kind of authority that could silence a room. "Human," she rasped, voice trembling with disbelief. "Do not touch me." "Too late," I said, pressing a sealant patch over the largest gash on her chest plate. "You'll bleed out otherwise." She tried to lift her arm, probably to strike or stop me, but the strength failed her. I caught her just before she collapsed. The cracked armor hummed under my fingers, sending faint pulses of heat through my gloves. I didn't realize then what I'd done, that the Trell armor wasn't just a uniform, but something far deeper. Middle. When she woke again, we were both inside the ruins, firelight flickering between us. Her helmet lay beside her, revealing an angular face framed by silver-white hair and markings along her jaw that shimmered faintly in the light. "I should kill you for what you've done," she said coldly. "Yeah," I muttered. "Thanks would have been too much." She stared at me for a long time, like I was a puzzle she couldn't quite solve. "I am Princess Kael'thera," she finally said, "daughter of the High Sovereign of the Trell Dominion." "Princess, huh?" I said, forcing a weak smile. "Guess I'm in trouble." Her lips twitched almost into something like amusement, but she said nothing. Over the next few days, survival made us allies. She couldn't contact her people. The interference storms around Saren 4 jammed all transmissions. I helped gather food and build a signal booster. She helped me avoid the roaming drones that still patrolled the ruins. But the armor, her armor, haunted everything between us. I'd used my human repair kit to reseal the breach, carefully rewiring the energy nodes that powered the suit's life support layer. She'd watched the process in silence, golden eyes never leaving my hands. When I was done, I glanced up. There, good as new. Her gaze was unreadable. "You repaired my ceremonial battle plate," she said slowly. "No one but my chosen consort is permitted to touch it." I blinked. "You're what?" She stood abruptly, moving as if to put distance between us. "It is a bond, human. A sacred right of trust. You have marked yourself." I frowned. "Okay, slow down. I just fixed a crack." "To touch a Trell warrior's armor," she interrupted sharply, "is to share her life force. You have made a claim, and so have I." There was a long, terrible silence. Then she turned, the faintest blush coloring her pale skin. "You're now mine." For a moment, I genuinely thought she was joking. But when a Trell rescue ship finally located our signal and landed in a storm of dust and energy, I realized she wasn't. Dozens of warriors in violet armor descended from the ramp, kneeling the moment they saw her. Their leader, a towering man with a crystalline crest, looked between us and froze. "My princess," he said, voice quivering. "You live. And the human?" Her gaze softened just slightly when she looked at me. "He is the one who mended my armor." The warriors exchanged looks, some shocked, others downright horrified. Then, as one, they knelt. Consort of the princess, their leader declared. Wait, what? No, I protested. That's not what. Kael'thera raised a hand, silencing me with a single glance. It is done, she said. Middle, Part 2. The next week aboard her flagship was surreal. Everywhere I went, people bowed. Servants brought me meals I couldn't pronounce. Guards addressed me as my lord. And every time I tried to explain it was all a misunderstanding, they just smiled politely and ignored me. Kael'thera avoided me for the first few days, probably embarrassed or conflicted. When she finally appeared, she was wearing her repaired armor, the one I'd fixed, and something in her demeanor had changed. You've adapted quickly, she said, voice neutral. I'm still trying to figure out which fork to use, I replied. Her lips curved faintly. You're honest. That is rare among the courts of the Dominion. I'm not built for politics, I said, leaning on the railing of the observation deck. Just trying not to accidentally insult someone by existing. She joined me, her gaze sweeping over the nebula outside, a river of blue and gold that stretched across the stars. When I fell in battle, she said quietly, I thought death would claim me. But you came. A human from the same species that burned our border colonies. I didn't burn them, I said quickly. I know, she replied. And yet you stayed. You saved me. I shrugged. Didn't seem right to let someone die when I could help. Her eyes softened. Your kind confuses me. You destroy, yet you heal. You kill, yet you save. That's humanity for you, I said. Contradictions wrapped in skin. There was a silence then, the kind that says more than words could. Perhaps, she said at last, there is more strength in mercy than in conquest. Climax. The peace didn't last. An attack came 3 days later. Pirates, scavengers, or maybe rebels. Whoever they were, they wanted the Trell flagship and whatever treasure it carried. The ship shuddered under fire, alarms blaring as hull shields flickered. I was thrown from my bunk, slamming into the wall. Kael'thera burst into the corridor moments later, already armored, golden eyes blazing. Stay here, she ordered. Not a chance, I said, grabbing a fallen plasma rifle. She hesitated. You are not a soldier of my world. I'm still a soldier, I said. For a second, she almost smiled, then nodded. We fought side by side, clearing decks, defending the ship's core. She moved with terrifying precision, blades flashing, armor humming with energy. I covered her flanks, firing bursts at the boarding parties that poured through breached airlocks. At one point, she took a hit, plasma scorching across her chest plate, right where I'd repaired it. The armor absorbed the blast, the seal holding firm. She looked at me then, and something unspoken passed between us. You saved me again, she said softly. Guess it's becoming a habit, I replied. When the smoke cleared and the enemy ships fled, the crew erupted in cheers. But Kael'thera only turned toward me, her voice trembling. You have proven the bond true, she whispered. The armor you touched has protected me twice, by your hands and your heart. Before I could answer, she leaned forward, forehead to forehead, a gesture I would later learn was sacred among her kind. My consort, she said quietly, the stars themselves have witnessed. Ending. In the days that followed, the story spread, how a human soldier had not only saved the Trell princess's life, but had bonded with her through the sacred armor rite. The Dominion's nobles were divided, some outraged, others awed. I tried to tell them the truth, that it was an accident, that I didn't even know their customs. But the more I learned about them, the less I wanted to deny it. Kael'thera, for her part, never forced the title on me. She treated me as an equal, sometimes teasing, sometimes distant, always dignified. Yet every so often, when the halls were empty and the stars glowed through the viewport, she'd whisper softly, "You should not have touched my armor, human." And I'd reply, "Yeah, but then who would have fixed it?" She'd smile, truly smile, and that was worth every misunderstanding in the galaxy. Months passed. Humanity and the Trell Dominion opened negotiations, tentative and fragile. Kael'thera stood before her father, the High Sovereign, and demanded peace. She argued that not all humans were warmongers, that one of them had saved her, not for glory, but simply because it was right. I was there, beside her, when she said it. When the peace accords were finally signed, her father placed a hand on my shoulder. "You have changed her heart," he said. "And in doing so, perhaps you have changed ours." Kael'thera turned to me after the ceremony, her expression unreadable. "So," I said, trying to break the silence, "what happens now?" She tilted her head, silver hair catching the light. "Now, consort," she said softly, "we build a future worth saving." Her hand brushed mine, deliberate, gentle, and full of meaning I didn't yet understand. And as the stars burned bright outside the Trell flagship, I realized that maybe, just maybe, repairing a piece of armor had repaired something far greater, the fragile bridge between two worlds.